Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we are back for part 2. This video was originally recorded as an entire one session. I did not think it was going to be as long, so I'm kind of starting in the middle of nowhere in this video, which is why I thought I'd make this quick introduction. I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let's get this started. Number 7, Season 1. Season 1 is a very interesting one, and some people may be annoyed that I placed it so low, but the only reason I'm placing it so low is purely because I think it's aged rather poorly in terms of its visuals, and actually to be honest, I'm just going to say just in terms of its visuals, it definitely feels like it's of its era and it's a very British show, whereas one thing I will really credit Stephen Moffat for is that when he came in, he done a great job of bringing the show over to America and making the show feel way more international, whereas with Russell T Davies it very much felt like a British show, which you could argue is, you know, better or worse because it's a very inherently British television show anyway. But I like the fact that Stephen Moffat made it more internationally acceptable, so to speak, but you could definitely feel the Britishness of season 1, and knowing all the things that happened with Christopher Eccleston and the controversy surrounding why he left and the problems he had with the BBC and Russell T Davies, it just leaves a season with a bit of a sour taste. While he is really good in the role, knowing that he just doesn't come back and the season isn't completely acknowledged at all in Doctor Who lore afterwards, well, it is a bit, but I don't know. There's something about this season that just doesn't sit right with me. Maybe it's because it wasn't my first season with Doctor Who. I picked up at season 2, and I believe after season 2 I went back to watch season 1 as a kid, and I like certain episodes, I like the plot lines, I like the acting, but there's just things in the episodes that have aged poorly for me, and I just think the seasons after this done some things better. But my next pick in the list is going to be a controversial one for being better than season 1, but let me explain myself. Number 6, season 10. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to have a problem with me putting season 10 over any of the Russell T Davies era, or even some of the Stephen Moffat era. A lot of people, I think, would say that season 10 is one of the worst seasons, and while it absolutely has its bad moments in terms of things being spoiled in trailers, you know what I'm talking about, BBC. Big things were spoiled in trailers. And then you've got episodes that really felt like they were trying to drag out the make sure you want to come back next time, here's a massive cliffhanger, how many times does the Doctor fake regenerate, like 50 million times. There's a lot of issues in this season, with no question. Like, there are issues. But I really liked the chemistry between the cast this season. Bill Potts is a character who came in, a lot of people may say they didn't like her, maybe she spouted on about her sexuality a little too much. To be honest, I feel like this is the only point in Doctor Who where they've gone very political in terms of, you know, having people who are LGBTQ plus in Doctor Who and really kind of making you aware that they're there. But I feel like it was done a little more tastefully with Bill, and it wasn't Bill Potts' singular character trait, you know, it wasn't that they were just there because they were a representation of a certain group. She was actually a really well fleshed out character. She was enjoyable, she was fun, she kind of played into the stereotypical Doctor Who companion of just being there to ask questions, but was also able to then poke fun at certain tropes of the show. I just feel like she was very likable. It's such a shame that her and Matt Lucas were only in it for one season, but at the same time I feel like that's sort of a gem, just having that singular season that can be in any era of Doctor Who, you know, like you could jump into this season having never watched Doctor Who or loving Doctor Who, and you get a nice concise season of good acting, good actors, good characters, interesting stories with a couple of bad ones here and there, cool music again for Murray Gold, and then a nice send-off at the end that I feel like was done rather well for both honouring the very first Doctor and then also honouring Peter Capaldi, who is definitely, I feel like, underappreciated overall in terms of what he did in Doctor Who, and that could be down to the writing for the most part, but to me it definitely feels like, again, his strongest season and the strongest, just his era. For me, that's just his best overall season. Now, his best episode, of course, as I said, was in season 9, but season 10 for me, I just find casually enjoyable, without a doubt. Number 5, season 2. Now, a lot of people may be annoyed that I've put the entire Rose Tyler era not near the top of the Doctor Who tier list, but I just, again, for the same reason as season 1, I feel like that the show was just aged a little poorly from these first 2 seasons. Now, of course, it's budgetary constraints and it is of its time, it's very of its time, but I actually don't like some of the episodes. I think Fear Her, I think that's the name of the episode. It's one of the ones near the end set during the 2012 London Olympics. I think that's the one. That's a pretty terrible episode. While the very last episode of the season is great and we got one of the saddest Doctor Who moments of all time in it, I actually don't particularly like the episode as a whole, and there's just a few episodes sprinkled throughout season 2 that I'm not a fan of whatsoever. But the reason why it's still maybe, because for the criticisms that I've given you think I have it way lower in the list, but the reason why it's as high in the list as it is because, again, you got David Tennant coming in, fresh-faced David Tennant bringing a whole new life to the show. The chemistry with Rose Tyler is unbelievable. Some of the episodes are really, really good, and it's a fun era, and kind of knowing what comes of Doctor Who after this really makes you like it more, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of people look back on the era of Rose Tyler kind of with rose-tinted glasses, no pun intended, I swear, but with rose-tinted glasses of how good it was, and while I believe it was very good, I don't think it was the best. However, I love the companionship between Tennant and Billie Piper, and it's a great season of Doctor Who. It's the first season I watched. I didn't catch the Christmas special, I think, the very first one with David Tennant, but the one where he comes in on, is it New Million News York, I can't remember how many news are in it. That was my very first episode of Doctor Who, and I look back on it fondly. You know, I really do like it, but I just trying to be objective, I don't think it's up there in the top list. Number 4, Season 5. Now, when I actually first watched Season 5, having been with Tennant and then kind of that being my first era of going through a regeneration, I was livid throughout all of Season 5. I thought the music wasn't near as good, even though it was done by Murray Gold. I just didn't feel it was as good at the time. I didn't particularly like Matt Smith. I know everyone thought the 11th Hour, they were instantly hooked on Matt Smith, and I really wasn't whatsoever. I did like Amy Pond, but it was just weird getting a new companion, especially with how much I liked Season 4. The companionship with Catherine Tate and all that. I really enjoyed that season. So this season felt like a real dip for me at the time, and even still I do believe there are some quite bad episodes in there, and the writing definitely leaves a lot to be desired at times, as it definitely feels like they're out of their comfort zone for this first new era of Doctor Who, in terms of Russell T Davies having left and David Tennant, one of the best doctors of all time, having left, and then casting sort of not really known actors into such big roles and sort of starting the show again a little bit. There was a lot of things at the time I really didn't like. However, looking back on it now and having rewatched that season again since, I actually feel like it done a lot well that hasn't really been acknowledged enough by the Doctor Who community. I mean, as I said earlier about how Stephen Moffat really done a good job at making Doctor Who go international, and while I believe Season 6 done that more than Season 5, Season 5 was definitely a stepping stone for that, and I do believe Matt Smith was decent at the time, although I don't believe he was great. There was definitely some really good moments in there. The companionship between him and Amy, and then Rory coming in a little later, and the three of them in the TARDIS was really cool. It does, looking back, it just feel like I was bitter at the fact that there was a new era, but and that did cloud my judgment. But I think looking back now, I think it's a really solid season of Doctor Who. It's one of the best ones, not one of the absolute top tier ones, as we're now about to hit my top 3, but I definitely feel like it's a season I gave too much criticism at the start, and it has some absolute gems in there, and I highly recommend you go watch it. I think a lot of people now will like those seasons and the Matt Smith era more than the David Tennant era, purely because it hasn't aged as badly in terms of visuals and aesthetics and all that. Another thing also to mention about Season 5, and maybe why I had such a resentment for a while, is that Season 5 and maybe even 6 to an extent really fell into the Tumblr era. And growing up in school, I knew so many people who had Tumblr who fangirl over how hot the Doctor was, and it was like, oh my god, just shut up. Like, in the whole thing of shipping and stuff all really came around this season, and I just, oh my god, I hated it. You just had people watching the show just because the characters were good looking. It felt like what Sherlock was in Tumblr, Doctor Who was on Tumblr for a while, and it was a horrible time to be a Doctor Who fan if you actually had your head screwed on straight and didn't idolize people on Tumblr the way people did back in the day. But No, with all that gone now and looking back, it was a solid season. Number 3, season 3. Okay, so now we're on to the top 3, and I am actually really surprised I put season 3 so high up here, but again, it's actually very similar to what I was saying about season 5, is that I really liked the Rose Tyler era. It was my first season of Doctor Who. When she left, I was distraught again. I was a kid at the time, and coming into season 3, having Martha Jones come in, new companion, trying to forget Rose was even there, I felt really, really bitter, and I didn't like it for a long time, and I felt some of the episodes were quite poor. But now, looking back on it, my god, what a season. Martha Jones, while actually maybe being lackluster as a companion sometimes due to the writing and very much is clouded by the fact that she's in love with the Doctor, like that leaves a big shadow over the show at times. The actress who plays her, forgive me, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, she's really, really good, and some of the episodes in this season are brilliant. The first episode is brilliant. You've got Gridlock, which I think is a very cool episode. You've got Blink, one of the best Doctor Who episodes of all time, if not the best, and the Doctor and Martha are barely in that episode, but it's absolutely brilliant. Then you've got the 3-part season finale, which, in areas can leave a lot to be desired, but is pretty damn enjoyable. And then, of course, you have the special that came after that. I don't know if that counts as like a season or season 4 or whatever, but you had the Titanic one, which broke records at the time as a Christmas special. I still remember being over at someone's house and hearing it on the radio, because I actually missed the Titanic episode when it came out. I was going to my cousin's house on Christmas Day for dinner, and I heard on the radio that it was one of the best Doctor Who episodes of all time in terms of like people watching it live, and I still remember all that stuff so clearly. Like season 3, the budget went up, production went up, Tennant's at the height of his acting, Martha Jones, she's a very good companion all things considered. John Barrowman comes in towards the end of the season and is brilliant. The kind of overall season plot line is just amazing. I don't know if I already said about the music in that round, but the music is brilliant. It's a fantastic season of Doctor Who, and one that I actually don't think will be appreciated as much by people who would maybe come in now and want the production to be even higher, which is again where I'd say season 5 and 6 are probably better eras for certain people to go into now. But people who would really, really love Doctor Who will love season 3, no question. It's a brilliant season, and if you're thinking of watching Doctor Who, I don't know why you'd be watching this far in this video if you haven't watched Doctor Who, but I highly recommend you check out season 3. Number 2, season 6. I may actually get some flack for this, but I feel like season 6 is one of the best seasons of writing I've ever seen on Doctor Who. I love the season arc, and while there are some bad episodes or even pretty good episodes with some bad moments of writing in them, I just absolutely loved everything to do with the show at this point. I thought the music was on point. Our 3 companions in the TARDIS it was some of the best that there's ever been, and I think ever will be in the show. Matt Smith was brilliant. Again, the season arc was just brilliant. The way they really bring things to a head in terms of what happens with oh god, what's her name? Why can't I remember her name? Oh my god, the Doctor's wife. Why can't I remember her name? Oh Jesus. Am I gonna cut this out? River Song. Why didn't I remember that? But yeah, the things that they'd done with River Song in the season really came to a head. I absolutely love this season. I even some of the bad episodes I find enjoyable in a weird way. I feel like this is when Doctor Who, I think, was really at its height in terms of the perfect balance between being big in an international scale and the ratings and everything and people watching. This just really felt like a high point for Doctor Who. And it was at a time where I think I was of an age where I could enjoy Doctor Who the most. I think season 6 I would have been about 13, 14 at the time, maybe even younger. Actually, no, wait. I would have been 13, 14 at the time, and I feel like it was the perfect age to really invest and love Doctor Who. And it's just a season that I hold up in very high regard. Now, looking back at it, there are some episodes that are a bit worse than others, you know, without a doubt. I definitely have a little bit of rose-tinted glasses when it comes to this season. But I still think it's one of the best seasons of Doctor Who. And, you know, there'd be an argument to be made about whether or not season 3 should go in front of it. But I kind of want to give Matt Smith's era and Stephen Moffat's era its due and its respects. And I think it deserves a place in the top 2. Number 1, season 4. Oh my god. There's not that much I can say about season 4 other than that it is one of the all-time masterpieces of television. Now, are there some bad episodes in the season? Yes, because Doctor Who was very constrained by its budget, and you could definitely tell at times when the writing had to be done around the budget, and there are a few episodes in here where it shows. My God, this season. The season arc was unbelievable. David Tennant, absolutely unbelievable. Catherine Tate, one of my all-time favourite companions. She is amazing. An amazing woman and was an amazing actress and played an amazing character. Bringing Rose Tyler back just made like Kid Me just absolutely shriek with joy, you know, even though she'd only been gone for a season technically. At the time I would have been not even 10 years old, or maybe 10, 11 years old, so it feels like a season feels like forever because it's a year. It feels like absolutely forever, and then she was back. She'd come up sparingly, like to really tease the season arc. The music was just unbelievable. The last 3 episodes where it's just really just everything that Russell T Davies has built over his era of Doctor Who, as it's winding down to a close, we just get a brilliant finale to almost all the characters, having them all come back and help out the Doctor in one of the biggest plots to ever come up on Doctor Who, with like the Earth and a bunch of planets going missing, all of which was also teased to be happening at some point in time earlier in the season. But come on, it's just brilliant. Like, there is not a single thing about season 4 of Doctor Who, other than maybe the slightly dated visuals to a point, where I could say that I wouldn't recommend watching it. It is so good, and it is just... I will watch season 4 on and off for the rest of my life. There's a lot of seasons of Doctor Who I could go through my life without watching again, but not season 4. Season 4 is just brilliant. We had Silence of the Library, even the Unicorn and the Wasp, and the final 3 episodes, and then the first episode of Adipose Industries, I think. Even the Pompeii episode that Peter Capaldi was in, it's not the best episode, but it's pretty good. And the one that played Amy Pond was in that episode as well, and just, oh, I want it back. I want this era of Doctor Who back. Russell, man, don't let the BBC get you down when you come back, alright? Give us another season like season 4 and I'll love you forever, my guy. Hopefully now the Bad Wolf Studios are kind of going to be co-producing with the BBC. We're actually going to get some more independent thought coming into Doctor Who, rather than very political ideas, which have been very rammed down Doctor Who recently, and because of the BBC. But man, season 4, top tier. So what did you think of my list? I know there's some controversial ones in there, and I would love to hear your comments on it. 100% I want to hear what you've got to say. Make sure to let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to go follow me over on Twitter and all the socials that I've hopefully put up on graphics over this video, if I haven't forgotten. Make sure to follow me in all those and message me there. We can chat. I stream on Twitch as well. Follow me on Twitch. If I'm playing whatever game on Twitch, doesn't matter what it is, you come in, you're a Doctor Who fan, start talking Doctor Who to me, you've got my full attention. Without a doubt, we'll have a brilliant discussion about Doctor Who. Even if you disagree with me, we'll have a great discussion. Make sure to leave a like in the video if you enjoyed, or a dislike if you didn't like, but a like would really help anyway. You know, from one Doctor Who fan to another, it would mean a lot. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more Doctor Who content, because if the Doctor Who content does well here, I'd be happy to talk more Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who. Even with the show, even though there's some parts of the show I think are terrible now, it's a show that I'm just so dedicated to, I'll always watch. So I'll do more Doctor Who content without a shadow of a doubt if that's what you guys want. But I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching if you've watched this far. I've been recording for 40 minutes and I don't know how much I'm going to cut out, so this could be a long video. I might splice it into 2 parts. I don't know yet. We'll see. If this is part 2, thanks for watching 2 parts. If it's not, thanks for watching the whole thing. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Have a great day. Peace.